to all of you for your patience. Okay. All right. So we're going to call the meeting to order at, what is it, 7:30?
Yeah.
Okay. And for the record, to show that our land use administrator, Donna Hayes, is here, along with regular, members, Marge Smith, Ken Johnson, Paul Yeaget, and myself, Lynn Warner. And ask if everybody had a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting. And if so, are there any changes, comments, or do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the last regular meeting as written. I didn't see any issues.
Second.
Okay.
Johnson seconds.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstention? No. All right, moving right along.
Wait, oh yeah. Ken Johnson is a full member, or is he an alternate?
He's a full member.
Okay, sorry, I keep forgetting that.
Yep.
Okay. New business, application 1258-21. Jason, is it Dismukes? Oh, you're on mute. I'm sorry. One of those nights.
There we go. All righty. Sorry about that. Yes, it's Jason. Jason Dismukes for Stephen Peters.
Thank you. I think we all had a chance to look at the materials in the package that you sent. It's very, I wanted to thank you because it's very comprehensive and complete. And if you could just walk us through a little bit, it sounds like you explained the two alternatives that you looked at. This is a difficult property, obviously.
Yes.
And what we're trying to do is minimize, if not eliminate, impact to the wetlands. And the other two alternatives looked good from a driveway perspective, but not so good, not so much from a wetland perspective.
Right.
Can you just walk us through those briefly?
Yeah. Well, first off, I'd like to start by apologizing to the commission. At last month's meeting, I made a very bad decision of trying to be in two places at once. And I had two meetings going on at the same time, and it did not work well at all. And I would just like to apologize to you guys for that.
Thank you.
And if I could, let me share my screen. Let's see. Okay, so here's the site plan.
Yeah.
Well, so you saw the two alternatives that we looked at before involved crossing the brook. One was crossed it once. One alternative crossed it twice. And in the end, we decided to improve the driveway as best we can in its current location. I don't know if you recall, so what Stefan's proposing to do is tear down the existing garage, push it back a little bit away from the wetlands, and build a new structure, which would be a garage with a breezeway behind it and an atrium connecting the house to the garage. So what we determined during, just before the last meeting, was the garage that's there now had been rebuilt. It had been torn down and built again. And at some point, they raised the elevation of this garage because Stefan had to have some work done to the water line from the well, which is located right in front. I don't know if you can see my cursor. That's where the well's located. When they dug to repair the well, the water line, they found a whole nother layer of pavement about 2.5 to 3 feet down below existing driveway grade. And the wellhead was down that deep too. It was completely buried. And that's where they found it. And so,
I remember seeing pictures of that.
yes, there are pictures. We had pictures that showed, you could see the 2 layers of pavement in the pictures. So what we're proposing to do is bring the driveway back down closer to where it was originally. That's going to improve the driveway grade by bringing it down some. The driveway is very steep. Right now, when you park in front of the garage doors, right around where the well is, right now, your car is at such an angle that your door doesn't stay closed, open when you open it. It'll click on you when you try to get out. And I know Stefan's told us countless times when you're getting out of the car with a bag of groceries, and the next thing you know, you drop, and it runs down the driveway, across the road, and over the hill. Apples and oranges and all kinds of stuff. So,
Well, I think we do understand what your intent is, and what we're
Yep.
trying to determine is the impact on the wetlands and how
so-
you're minimizing that.
okay, and so what we had talked about previously is there's going to be a wall that comes along around this curve here, and this wall is going to be what separates the parking area from the wetland boundary and the water course. And where there's a minor amount of impact is right in this zone right here.
Right.
There's an iron pipe right at the corner of where 2 stone walls meet. And right now, the grade of that's right here is pretty much continues right through this corner. And so what we want to do is build this wall, because we're going to be lowering it on this side. And we just want to shape the grade slightly along this side of the wall, the wetland side, so that we're keeping water in the bank of the brook. That's the whole goal here. And so there's that little bit of impact there. And also too, I just wanted to remind you, this is an intermittent stream. The majority of the year, it's not flowing.
So the water that you're capturing from the additional parking area that you're putting in, that's going to go within the wall, right?
This is all going to be permeable pavers.
Right, okay.
We have an under drain along the inside of the wall here that if the water that's retained in the bed of stone below the pavers gets to a certain point, we're gonna have an under drain there to pick up any excess and bring it to this yard drain and take it out.
Okay. And then where's it go from there?
We have another yard drain here, and then from there it comes down and it discharges into this level spreader. This is all outside of the wetland boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it's naturally, this is the best place that we could put this so that it rejoins the water course down below without causing any erosion. This is pretty flat in here.
Paul or Ken?
Well,
or-
I'm looking at the drain outlet right there, and the spreader. What is that? Just riprap?
Well, it's riprap, but it's shaped. I think I have a detail for it. There's like a plunge pool in the middle of it. So the whole point is just to dissipate energy. So what's coming in here, this is set down a little bit lower than the invert of the culvert. And then you have another, this becomes your weir that overflows. And this is set about at the same height as the invert of the culvert. So
Okay.
you're taking the concentrated water and you're spreading it out wider so that when it comes off of that weir, the velocity is reduced significantly.
All right. How deep is that plunge pool? About 1.5 feet?
Yeah. Yeah. About 1.5 feet. And that's a section through.
Okay. Does that make sense, Paul?
Yeah, the only other thought that comes to mind is, did you give any consideration to doing a rain garden for the runoff around it? Or do you think this will handle most of the water that's coming through?
I think this is going to handle it. I mean, when the amount of, well, first the velocities that come out of this culvert are pretty low to begin with. But by putting in the plunge pool, we're just making sure we don't have any erosion problem. I didn't really want to get into digging in, and putting a rain garden into that area.
Is that because there's not going to be enough water to?
Well, there's
sufficiently-
also shade. I mean, it's pretty shaded in here, and you do have some slope. So you're going to be digging, and then you're going to be berming to create this rain garden. And for it to be effective, you really need it relatively flat in the bottom of it. So I just thought it's just more disturbance that we would rather avoid.
Yeah. Yep.
Is this something that's gonna have to be cleaned out or kept cleaned out?
It shouldn't have to be too much.
Yeah, doesn't look like it. Okay,
No.
okay.
Okay. The other question I think we had was around the pool,
Yeah.
and it looked like from the materials that you gave us, you were showing us how water would be captured all the way back.
So, yeah, there's a natural pool, if you will, right here in the brook. Basically, the brook comes down, and then there is this little flat area right here. And so water coming down in that spot, pretty much, you could look at the contours, and if you follow my cursor, water to the left of my cursor as I go up this page is all going to end up in that little pool.
Mhm.
But we want to, in putting in the swimming pool and the pool deck, we just want to pick up that water and direct it into that pool a little more formally, if you will. And that means
Okay.
putting in a swale and directing it towards it.
So a swale would that actually direct water more forcefully and more quickly than what would
Well-
normally happen if you had a swale that allowed it to diffuse across the hill?
Well, I think we're going to be collecting the same amount of water. I think we're just making sure we move it around the pool deck, if that makes sense. So it's not flowing over the pool deck.
Yeah, my concern is, are we now concentrating a flow of water to hit that stream in a way that it wouldn't normally? And is there a way to make sure that it spreads out rather than creating essentially a new?
Well, I think
artificial-
that's the exact function that this pool here does. It really kind of collects that water, slows it down now, and then it comes out of it before proceeding down the hill.
All right.
So yeah,
Commissioners?
when you're looking behind that wall, you have the elevation 510, 508, 506, 504.
Yes.
You're going to swell the
Yes.
area at 510, 508, 56. So that's going to concentrate there. But it looks to me by the gradient lines that it begins to spread out as soon as it comes around the corner of the pool.
As soon as it comes around the corner, it's gonna start spreading out. And also,
that'll diminish some of the energy of the water coming down.
well,
Yeah.
this doesn't give it justice either. The site is rocks and boulders all over. And so there's natural material on site that will slow this water down. The other thing we're doing too is, if you see this, the way I graded this showed these little humps here represent about a foot of fill to keep the water within the banks of the brook, if that makes sense. So when water comes down from here, it comes into this pool, and then it comes out of the pool, and it'll come down by our parking area. And so at present, this area does get wet from water coming down here and just coming over around this stone wall. I know Stefan has told me he's seen it at the Iron Pin before, out of the bank.
Mhm. Okay. Do we have other questions about this application?
I don't-
Let me just, a point of clarification here. This is a new application, right? The old one was
Yes.
withdrawn without
Yep.
prejudice. So
Yep.
we have, we really can't act on it until our next meeting.
Understood.
But while we're here looking at these plans, which again, I appreciate, we appreciate the detail that you've given us here. Are there other questions that we can ask? Jason? Marge?
I think this
Paul?
looks like a good improvement over what we had before. It looks like they've addressed a lot of the issues, and I think taking the garage down, lowering the whole setup there makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Do we have a designation on there for siltation control?
Yes. If you go back to sheet, let's see. I think I have it in, on the phasing. So I have phased drawings in the set where we call out the erosion controls for that phase, for the work that's being done during that phase.
Okay.
Silt fence and hay bales coming along the brook here, silt fence coming along the edge of the driveway down here, silt fence around the drainage when that's in place until that's stable. So we definitely have all our erosion controls considered here.
Mm-hmm. Donna, do you have any additional questions right now?
What are you using for the pool decking? Is that a hard surface, or what is that going to be made out of?
That's Stefan. I think he's present.
Yeah, right now it was supposed to just be pavers or cut stone with space in between them. We're not really sure until we get in there, but that was the plan. There isn't a whole lot of deck around the pool. This upper, the north side of the pool, I think that this wall here is a scenario that we'll have to do as we start excavating. There's a lot of rock there, so this may just remain rock. But I think on the south side, these two corners on the south and southwest sides, that's about a foot and a half of deck. There's not a whole lot of deck there.
Okay. Okay. And then the connector between the new garage and the house, can we look a little bit at that?
Oh, what happened?
Well, you're on your phasing sediment control.
Yeah, let me get back up to the site plan. So the plan is to build an addition, which is currently a porch, occupies that space, is to extend this end of the house, and that'll become conditioned space. From there, this is an atrium Stefan, I don't know if you want to describe what the atrium represents,
Sure.
as far as space.
Right. So I think the way it's drawn now is about a 13-foot atrium, a covered atrium with sliding glass on both sides. There will be an entrance on the south side, so you can park in what is now a much more level area to deposit, children, groceries, etc., in through the atrium. Most likely, then the car will extend around to the back parking area, and then there'll be an opening, a door, two-car garage, but then a door to that breezeway that runs along the back of the garage, and that'll be storage, a mud room, if you will. So that when you walk through that, the atrium then begins. It's a sunroom, maybe a sitting area. I think it's about right now 2 feet below the house level, and then it's another 2 feet down to the garage or so. The roofing material is either metal or just shingles as we have now. The area to the south of the atrium is going to be gravel. There's a little bit of relief between the atrium and the driveway. That's going to be gravel or some change in substrate. And let's see what else I can tell you.
Is it going to be conditioned space?
I'm not familiar with that term.
Is it going to be heated?
Yes.
Okay, so if that's going to be heated, floor, concrete slab, it's going to be insulated underneath.
Yes, that's the plan.
Okay. Any other questions or any other questions from the Commissioner Donna?
Nope.
No,
Okay. All right. Any other information you want to share, Jason or Stefan? Okay.
I think
I'm good.
I think you have a good handle on it.
I think so too. I do. Thank you for your patience and also for being so responsive. So what we will do now is make a motion to table the application to the next regular meeting. If any other questions come up in the interim, Donna will reach out to you, but there may be questions at the next meeting. So our next regular meeting is June
28th, I think.
So
Yes, June 28th. Sorry.
So it looks like we would be, at this point, that we'd be prepared to make a decision. And it looks like most of our concerns, if not all, have been addressed. But again, we reserve the right to continue the conversation at the next meeting.
Absolutely. And if you have questions along the way, if Donna, if you could let me, know, and if it's something that we can address before the next meeting, I'd be happy to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. So all right. So thank you both very much. And now we just need a motion.
I'll make a motion to
application.
table application 1258-21 to the next regular meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did Ken say aye?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Opposed or abstention? No. Okay. Again, thank you both very much. And
Thank you.
for your patience tonight.
Thank all of you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, so we're going to move right on to old business, application 1254-21. And this is Alan Shope stepping in for Brian Baker. And Alan, are you there?
I am here.
There you are.
Lynn, I didn't have new information to present tonight. I think it's a very simple application that you guys are familiar with. It basically is bringing an antique septic system into compliance with the current codes that services the historic house on this property. And it also involves the restoration of the old goat barn, which is the little red barn very close to the street. But I think the merits of the application are very straightforward, and I didn't have anything to add to what Brian presented last time.
Okay, thank you. Paul, Marge, or Ken, did you have any additional questions at this point? Are we ready to take a?
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm just looking back at the minutes too. I don't remember that we had any issues with it after a good discussion about it.
Mhm.
I'm just seeing Donna's note that this may have to go to ZBA, but that doesn't have any bearing on our approval, does it, Donna?
No, none at all.
Okay. No, I'll make a motion to approve application 1254-21.
Okay,
I'll second.
very good. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
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 Opposed or abstention? No. Okay, there you go. Alan, thank you so much. Thanks for your patience tonight.
Thank you very much, and it's nice to see all of you.
It's
Talk
very nice
again
to see
soon.
you.
Thanks. Bye.
Alan,
Bye-bye. All right, moving on to application 125321, Jennifer Youngblood. I saw Jennifer's name. There she is. Hi, Jennifer. And again, I think the only thing we were looking for here was a silt fence and a topo map. I don't know that the topo map was necessary, but I didn't know, Donna, if you had anything you wanted to say about that.
No, it was
has
one
the-
of the things that Ken had asked to make sure it was included in the file. So Jennifer supplied one and so did I. So now we have double topo.
And does the site plan now include the silt, the erosion control, the silt fence?
Yes. It
Okay.
does.
Were there any other questions or concerns or anything else you wanted to add, Jennifer? No? Okay. So I think we're ready to have a motion for this application.
all right, I will make a motion to approve application 1253-21.
Thanks, Marge.
I'll second.
Thanks, Paul. Any further discussion? All
No.
in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Okay. Jennifer, thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
I can't hear you.
She's muted.
Yeah,
Forgive me. How's that?
thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good
Yeah.
evening.
You too.
Thank
you
you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so we're going to move to application 1255-21. This is, let's see, who's presenting for this?
Mike Neff.
Brian Neff.
I'm
Hi,
here.
Brian. Nice to-
Hi.
I'm so sorry to see you. Nice to see you. So here we are. Looked again like there weren't a lot of, if any, real issues. I just have one question, which might have been addressed at the last meeting, having to do with, there's a mention that invasives are going to be removed.
Yes.
Is there a replanting plan? Is there a need for a planting plan?
There's some notations about plantings along the brook,
Okay,
and they did come up with a list of planting recommendations. The landscape architect did. It
okay,
includes trees, evergreen trees, shrubs, emergents, and ferns,
all right,
which
thank
they
you.
all look
Thank-
like they're native native species to be planted. It's kind of a rocky area, so the landscapers have to be kind of work around the rocks and things that are there near the brook. But it's proposed to be done by hand. There's going to be erosion controls installed down gradient of where the plantings are done. So it's just to kind of enhance the area and go along with removal of invasives.
So it sounds like you're going to be removing some invasives and carefully replanting as you can to replace them.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Were there any other questions? Did anybody else have any other questions? No? Okay. And did you have anything else you wanted to share? Any changes or anything, Brian?
No, it's the same plan, has not been revised.
Okay, so we are ready to take a motion.
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to approve application 1255-21.
Thank you, Paul.
I'll second.
Thanks, Marge. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 No opposition, no abstention. So motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks,
Thanks
Brian.
Good
for your
night.
patience.
Thanks,
All right, good
Brian.
night.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on, application 1257-21, Hosanna Fox and David Makowski, and I see Hosanna. Is that how you say it? Is it Hosanna? You're on mute.
Hosanna, yeah, hi. And sorry, we're
Hosanna.
gonna do some live time moving to Better Late here. Good evening, everyone. Hi.
Maybe you could help me out. I just lost the light bulb above my head.
I know, it's not as obvious as it seems.
Aw. So this one also seemed pretty straightforward, but I wondered if any commissioners had any additional questions on this application, or Donna.
No, the only thing we were looking for was some kind of silt fencing around, and that was added and communicated to us with the new site plan. So we're good.
Okay. We're good to go.
Great.
Okay then. Sounds like we can take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve application 1257-21.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. The suspense was killing me. Okay. All right. Any further discussion?
No?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 No opposition, no abstention. Very good. You're good to go. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
also.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you
really
very much.
appreciate the friendly process. Thanks a lot.
I'm looking forward to
Thank you.
seeing your house one of these days.
Yes, I owe you a call, Marge.
Okay, please do call me.
You'll get one.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so we are now at the point of written verbal communications, and actually, Anthony, is it Anthony or Tony? And I apologize. Anthony?
Anthony. Yeah,
Anthony.
my cousin.
So you've seen us at our best and our worst. Are you still interested in serving on the commission?
I am, yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw that you were an environmental attorney. Is that right?
that's correct.
What kind of law? Environmental law?
Mostly mining right now.
Ooh,
Mining, some land use, a little bit of everything in terms of environmental, but mostly mining.
When you say mining, like what do you mean exactly?
So mostly mining in New York State, so surface mining. So say approvals with DEC, reclamation permits. I'm not speaking about like mountaintop removal mining, more so just the grades at X and we're lowering it to Y. That material that's coming out is gonna be processed. So that type of mining.
what are they mining?
Sand and gravel?
Okay,
Gravel.
okay.
Yeah. So you're representing the applicant
Yes.
through and going through the permit process for that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In New York State, I don't think we do much mining in Connecticut anymore. Very little.
No, a lot of mining in Connecticut's there's a lot of big quarries. I say ONG obviously is the biggest.
Yeah.
But Connecticut's a little different because Connecticut doesn't have an overarching state agency that governs mining, whereas New York, it's all governed by DEC.
Interesting.
And the towns have their say in terms of land use, but the actual act of mining is governed by the state agency. So it's interesting the differences.
Yeah.
between the states, but I'm not saying one's better or worse. It's just different.
Yeah. So have you been living in Connecticut mostly though?
I used to live up in Albany. So when I graduated law school, I went to work for New York State Parks and Rec and Historic Preservation. So then I did a lot of conservation, about conservation easements, help preserving large swaths of land that were being donated. Also helping create some new parks in New York State,
Cool.
some in New York City, some other locations. It was actually really fun because I got the opportunity to work on different projects, but then also go and do site visits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Site visits were at these large parks.
Beautiful, right?
But yeah, it was nice. I've never been to Niagara Falls before. In the past 2 years, I went there 3 times.
Wow.
Interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool. So in Connecticut, the wetlands agencies are actually extensions of the state Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. And so we are essentially their arm on the ground. And there are some state permits for some of the stuff that we deal with, but we also have our own, process and regulations. I don't think state permits supersede us. I think typically if an applicant comes through a process, they have to get the local permit, and they also might have to get a state permit if there's a larger impact or it's a more significant project for another reason.
And we also do
So-
forestry.
That's right. That's true. So we do have, we're one of, I don't remember how many towns that also have the authority granted by state statute to consider forestry applications. So when a forestry application comes in, we have to look at it both from a wetland standpoint and from our forestry regulations. Is that right? Is that still right, Donna?
Yes, it
We have to
is.
look from both. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we do
might be
both.
So we might be, thank you for bringing that up, Marge. I forgot about that. We might be looking at a forestry application that has absolutely no wetland impacts, but we're actually looking at it through the lens of the forestry regulations. And that happens 2 or 3 or 4 times a year.
It
I'd
does,
say.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then there are flip sides sometimes when we're working on a wetlands application. Once in a blue moon, it seems like there are a number of trees that are going to be removed, and it doesn't necessarily, I get confused sometimes, that doesn't tip it over into a forestry operation. But we're always wearing both hats. It's
Yeah.
we're aware of, so.
I think we're
Yeah.
one of 5 or 6 towns in the state that still
Yeah.
do forestry through inland wetlands. Everybody else considers it farming and therefore it would be exempt from wetlands. But for some reason, I guess when it came time to opt out, Kent decided not to. And
Right.
so we therefore continue to do so. It's
Yeah.
interesting though.
Yeah. Well, in the cases where the towns are not giving permits, the state is.
Yes.
And I
That's
think
why
that
I was
town
on,
of
that-
Kent
yeah, I was
did
there when
not
that
want
decision was
that.
made, and I think we just wanted to keep the local control since we had the option to.
Right.
It was a long
Right.
time ago.
Right, because we look at it from a system standpoint in terms of the wetlands and the forest services that are provided, and I guess we weren't confident that the state would do that.
We were not.
So, yeah. Do you have questions? You must have some questions for us.
No, well, I have a few. Is it usually this number of applicants each meeting, or is this a larger group than normal?
No, this is a smaller group than normal, I think, although it's hard to, I don't know, Donna, what do you think?
I think since COVID, we've gotten a lot more applications from a inland wetlands perspective, a zoning perspective, and even a building perspective.
Mhm.
There's just been, since COVID hit, there's been an enormous amount of activity.
Mhm.
Where, we might have maybe, we might have 3 one month, and then next month, the 3 that we heard as the initial application, we're now just hearing like we did tonight, and that's all, we wouldn't have any new ones.
Mhm.
So I think it's been probably close to 20% more since COVID.
And yet,
Okay.
I tonight was because we only had one new application tonight. Once we got started, it was a very quick meeting. And
Right.
I feel like ours are kind of seasonal. There's times of the year where we don't get that many. Sometimes we've had meetings that would go for an hour and a half. It's not like planning and zoning. We're never up until midnight, so.
Well, don't say never, because if we get into the realm of public hearings, then it can
Yeah.
go long.
But it's not often.
We haven't had that. Many of our applications have not been controversial,
Right.
have not been big enough to warrant a public hearing, or haven't gotten the requisite number of people to sign a petition asking for a public hearing. If we were to ever determine that an application would have a significant impact, and there's actually a definition in our regulations for that, then we'd have to have a public hearing. Then we can't really predict. We could be there till midnight,
Right.
or we could have a series. We might meet more often than once a month. It just depends. But we literally haven't had that kind of a big application what feels like years.
Yeah,
I don't think since I've been here.
yeah.
Yeah,
One thing we do get to do is go on site visits.
and that's fun.
Site visits, I tend to bring my dog with us, and Lynn always looks for excuses to go swim in North Spectacle Lake if we have an application up there, so. Site visits, it's, not everyone is a site visit, but we err on the side of caution, I think, in going on site visits, which is good.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are the time commitments outside of the meetings and I guess reviewing the applications in the interim of the meetings?
Well,
Minimal.
generally speaking, site visits, and we typically try to get them all done if we can on a Saturday morning or when the weather's, when the sun's out longer, we might meet up after work. But that is usually once a month between meetings, if it happens.
Right.
Um,
I don't think there's a lot of outside the meeting time input. I mean, I would read the documents ahead of time but it's not a huge time commitment. I was on planning and zoning for too many years and that was horrendous. My hat's off to Donna for dealing with both. This one is not bad at all. It's really, I think, very, very interesting. For the most part, the applicants are all very cooperative. Like Brian Neff, when he comes to us, we basically know that we're getting something that's very well thought through, and we still go through it with him, but we trust him and respect his work, and it usually goes very smoothly. So
yeah.
He knows the regulations. He's got a good reputation, and he's just very thorough.
mhm,
He
You know,
also knows pretty much from dealing with us so much, he knows what we're gonna be asking for. and
exactly.
He's prepared, he's got it there.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, sometimes we'll get an applicant who hasn't read the regulations or who doesn't want to provide, who doesn't realize that when we ask for a site plan with 10 things on it, we actually mean we want a site plan with 10 things on it.
Mhm.
So we try to work with people. I would say for the most part, everybody that we do, not everyone, but most of the people that we deal with eventually end up working with us to improve the application and minimize impacts on wetlands.
Yep, actually, tonight was a very good example. The first go round. We've come a long way, and that worked.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that was painful.
Oh, God.
The first go around was extremely painful.
And then the last meeting, at least he did apologize profusely this time. Lynn, it's a good thing you weren't there because he was definitely Zooming two meetings at the same time. And I could see the steam coming out of Donna's head and
Oh, I was furious.
just
Furious. And I let him have it because I went on vacation the next day. And or I was on vacation. I think I was on vacation because I think I did the meeting from the Cape.
Yep.
And he did not, because Ty's like, I did the minutes right away. They were filed that night. There's no more going back. And I was laughing. And so she goes, I said, well, if he calls, he did not call. He called when I got back from vacation. And I, under no circumstances did I accept his apology. I was furious.
Yeah.
I was like, I said, you know what? I'm going to agree with you. You were rude.
Yes.
I said, extremely rude. I said, you kept our commission waiting
Mhm.
when you knew that you had this conflict. I said, there's just no excuse for that. I said, I'll agree with you, but I won't accept your apology. I did not. I was furious, just furious. I said to him, and I was on vacation. And he was
Well,
like,
apparently that kind of hard touch worked because
Yes,
I
you got it.
thought the information was good tonight, and I also thought that he was listening.
Yep.
As much as he was talking, which
It went
was
very well.
unusual. Yeah.
well, I think the property owner gave him what for.
I was wondering that.
Yeah, he absolutely did.
Yeah.
I got a phone call from a representative of the property owner asking for advice. And he did not take my advice, but I gave it to him anyway. So, but anyway.
Do you have other questions?
None right now.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I don't actually know how this process works. I think I think you need to just confirm at some point that you, if not now, that you want to join as an alternate. I think we have, Anthony would be joining as an alternate, right, Donna?
Yes. Yep, and what'll happen is, once you decide, send me an email and say, I mean, you could go to bed tonight and wake up tomorrow and say, they're a bunch of dingbats and I don't want to be involved. And that's okay. But, if you change your, if you still want to pursue this, and what I'll do is I'll put together a memo that I give to the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen actually appoint you to your position.
Okay.
And, I'll look at I have a chart for all of my alternates when their expiration dates are for and that kind of thing. So, I'll fill you all in on that. The regulations are on the town's website. The maps, the inland wetland map is also on the town's website. So you can see what we use kind of as guidance. And then the application is there too, and something good to read because you'll see a list of what the requirements are for an applicant when they fill out an application and what kind of information, you guys are going to be looking for.
Okay.
As an alternate, we would ask, we would want you to come to every meeting so that you could vote when needed. You can speak up at every meeting. You can ask questions at every meeting. And that would be ideal. And
Yeah.
I think I speak on behalf of the commission when I say we're very grateful that you're interested in serving on the commission,
Yes.
because we're missing a person sometimes makes it difficult to get a quorum together. And so it's nice to have the full complement, and plus having somebody with your background and your apparent interest would also be, I think, helpful
Yes,
to us. So thank you for being
Thank you.
interested, and yeah.
great.
Yeah.
We're happy.
All right. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So hopefully we'll be hearing from Donna that you want to be appointed, and the selectmen will make that happen. So
And we'll see you
well-
next month if that works.
Well,
Good.
thank you for taking the time to explain the position to me and inviting me to your meeting tonight.
Great.
well, we're glad you came. Sorry that we had such a delay at the beginning, but it happens sometimes,
That's fine. It's
Yeah.
Zoom makes everything complicated nowadays.
It is.
Right. Oh, just wait till we do hybrid meetings. It sounds like it's going to be a ball. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
When are
Anything
we
else?
going back to live meetings?
That was a question earlier. Town Hall, I was told today that Town Hall is officially reopening to the public effective June 1st. But there's still a quasi executive order out there about providing what they call hybrid meetings, which are meetings that are both in person and via Zoom at the same time. From a planning and zoning perspective, we have decided that we will not be doing hybrid meetings. It's just, I think the possibility of opening that up to a lawsuit is that much greater unless you've got your technology down pat, which we don't have at this point in time.
Yes, I understand.
So, I'll keep everybody abreast of what's going on. I know Lamont's got a governor's bill pushing for these hybrid meetings. So we'll see what happens. But right now, we can still continue with Zoom.
I apologize for being late. I started shampooing rugs about 4 o'clock in my house, and I got so wrapped up in my job, I totally forgot to be. And then, so when I tried to get on, I clicked on Zoom, and it says join a meeting, but I need a meeting ID. So I couldn't find a meeting ID in any of the emails. So you told me about the link being in the agenda. Well, I clicked on that link, and for some reason it took me to a PDF, and it said, "Do you want to download this PDF?" And I said, "Well, I tried both ways, yes and no." Either way, it took me back to a home screen. So I don't know. I don't understand these computers
Well,
as much as I should.
every morning, the morning of every meeting, I do send out just the agenda. And that agenda has a live link on it that'll bring you to the Zoom meeting. So,
But then you have, and
Donna, I'd like to practice joining a meeting a couple of times before the next meeting
okay,
to see what's going on.
okay,
Can we do that?
yeah,
You know, call me
absolutely.
And say, let's
Great
practice,
idea.
let's take 5 minutes out and practice joining meetings.
Okay,
And see
Yeah.
what I'm doing wrong.
thank you, Donna.
yep, that'll be fine. I'm on vacation starting after the meeting. So I'll be back in the office on June 1st.
You're going on vacation again?
I am we're going back up to the Cape.
Well, Speaking of which, we can't close this meeting until I bring something up. So you finish first.
Okay, so when I come back, Ken, I'll set up some practice Zoom meetings. And you and I will work on getting you comfortable coming in and out.
That'd be great. I appreciate that a lot.
Okay, not a problem.
All
Okay,
right.
Marge.
I just have a question about the September meeting because Paul and I have our usual, Paul, you're going away for most of September still, right?
Yeah, let me check those dates.
Because what I had said that if we could do it and move our meeting up to the middle of the month, which we did, I think we said, I can't remember what date we set it for, September 16th or something like that.
The 20th.
Okay, the 20th. I usually come back out of the Adirondacks once, but I have to come back for a funeral on the 26th, which would put me back at the time of what our meeting normally would have been. So I'm wondering if we could change the meeting back to the 27th so that I don't have to come out of the mountains twice. Is it too late to do that, or is that possible?
No, and what I'll do is I'll just, when the
27th
time comes, I'll cancel that. And we'll do a special meeting on the 27th.
Would
Okay,
that work for you, Paul?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm gone the 14th through the 24th.
Oh,
All
that'd be
right.
perfect.
I'll be back
That'd
for the 27th.
all right, that would be great, because I
That
really,
would be great.
I need, like everybody else needs their vacations. I need that break. So if I don't have to come out twice, that would be great.
Okay,
So special meeting though, then that means, it just means
That
that
means,
people can't come in at the last minute with an application,
right.
basically it, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, that it's not, they can't do it now anyway. Because the executive order says that we can't
Right.
accept anything less than 24 hours before the meeting. So,
Right.
Yeah,
so
but
by September, we should be fine, but
So we'll go back, well, it'll be on the 27th. Excellent. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
one thing I would do though is put on the website, wherever we have our application that you can download a notice that in order to get onto the agenda for the 27th, you have to have your application in by X, whatever the date is.
right,
Because I think people are used to coming to the meeting with, or at least for years, they could come and submit their materials day of.
right.
We just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, has anybody applied for Ty's job, our clerk?
I do have some applications, resumes on Indeed. They're not exceptional at all. And it turns out that I am not the only one. Warren is looking for somebody, Salisbury is looking for somebody, Roxbury is now looking for somebody, and me. So, and there's just nobody out there at this point in time. A lot of the resumes that I've been getting are people who have been out on unemployment, and their requirement is to apply for jobs so that they can continue to get their benefits.
Oh,
So
no.
they're just sending stuff in, and the stuff that I'm rifling through is from Waterbury,
Oh.
so, we'll get through it. We'll figure it all out. I've been working with Amy up in Salisbury and talking to Joe Manley that maybe we could set up something where we're sharing somebody between Warren,
I was just-
Salisbury, and,
Yeah.
I'm flexible with that, as far as the number of hours that people want to work.
Mhm.
I'll just have to do it until we find somebody. But
I'm
I'll
trying
let
to-
you know.
How
I'm
many
sorry?
hours a week? I'm sorry. I'm trying
It's
to remember how many hours a week.
It's 15
15?
hours a week, plus
15.
meetings. So Ty was working from 8 until 12, Monday through Thursday. And that was given us that was given her the 15 hours per week, and she had Friday off so she could go to the Cape. But I mean, I'm flexible, where they could work as long as they're there on a Tuesday after a Monday night meeting and they're on a Friday after a Thursday night meeting, it makes no difference to me,
Mhm.
you know, when they come in. So I'm flexible enough to be able to work around that. So,
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, I don't mean to drag this out when we were, you know, doing really good on time. So I'm just gonna say thank you all. Very nice to meet you, Anthony, and hopefully look forward to working with you.
You as well.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All second.
All in favor?
Good night, everybody.
Aye.
Bye-bye.
Night.
good
All right.
night, everybody. Good night, Ken.
Bye.
Good night.
Good
Donna,
night.
Give me a call when you get back.
Okay, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
All
Have a
right,
good time.
thanks.
Good
Bye.
night.
Why can't I do anything here?